Alright, here's the deal. Finally get to talk about this subject. The fact of the matter is this. The Olmecs were not black. They did not come from Africa. They weren't Egypto-Nubian or any of this other nonsense. And there's no evidence to prove that this is the case. I mean, you gotta ask yourself. You gotta ask yourself some serious questions. Like, why didn't these people bring their own crops to Mexico? Why are there no ships and no scraps of wood from the Nile or Niger River valleys? The Olmec staple crop was corn. There's no Guinea rice. There's no wheat. There's no frankincense. There's none of that. There's no cocoa yam. There's none of that stuff. There's no African taro root. None of that. Why didn't they bring that to America? What did they survive on? Why didn't they bring any of their native animals? Why didn't they bring any of that stuff? I also find it funny that there's no megalithic architecture. They were able to carve these giant heads, but they used mounds to build the pyramids. And the deal is that pyramid building stopped in Egypt around like the 1700s, like 1700 BC, somewhere around that time. The last one was built. Step pyramids stopped being built long before that. But people ignore that. The reasons why they were built are different. The tombs, there aren't any similar tombs. None of the religions are similar. None of the artwork is similar. The jade sculptures, why do they look like Native Americans? I mean, look, the stone heads have various features. The jade sculptures, they're from a similar period, but they have an appearance that matches contemporary Native aesthetics. This is an indigenous culture that had nothing to do with Nigwads, the Chinese, or the Japanese. Hell, the Mandi were iron workers for 3,000 years, but where's the iron in Mesoamerica? Matter of fact, where are the megalithic heads in Mandi civilizations? These things don't add up. And they don't, you got these guys, they're using things like isolated natives with black African DNA, as if they haven't migrated in 500 years due to colonialism. There were many slaves who were marooned. They're the Maroons that went into the mountains. They isolated themselves in rural areas. Many times, they were assisted by native populations. Some of these blacks died out, some integrated with the European societies or with Native Americans. Some were autonomous. Ultimately, this is another dumbass attempt by self-loathing Afrocentrics to try and build up their empty sense of self. But ultimately, they have to come to realize that you can't build a foundation on a shell. It'll just crumble, like the evidence that you nignogs use to make yourselves the Olmecs. And you don't have anything to stand on at all. You have scant DNA evidence of many groups. You have, that's it. That's actually it. You're using that and the heads, because if you try to go the pyramid route, you're going to fail every time. Because the pyramids are nothing like Egyptians. They're nothing like it. You try to use the written language, they're not using Egypto-Nubian cuneiform. There's no written language known, and the only thing close is the stuff the Mayans use. Not to mention their older civilizations in southern and farther south in the main continent of South America, around Peru. They're older civilizations. It's not a mother civilization. The people look like the modern Mayan tribes. It's called Olmec because of where it was found. That's not what they call themselves. They could very well have just been another Mayan settlement, because they look the same, similar society. Mayans are known for just abandoning their societies. They're still fucking there. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. They're not The Olmecs are not fucking black and they're not Chinese. You guys need to stop claiming other people's cultures. It's clearly an indigenous culture. There's no evidence in any other way. And matter of fact, what's this Egypto-Nubian crap? I mean, I like how they're using this because you know the Egyptians are not black. They're not. And the Nubians, they don't look like you. They have nothing to do with sub-Saharan Negroes. And it's not a Mande civilization because they didn't have. They had boats that went up and down the Niger, but they didn't go across the ocean. And the people that claim they did, that was in the Islamic era. That was long after Ouagadougou had fallen. So I'm not seeing how this happened 3,000 years ago. The Mande didn't start really going out into the ocean until like the 1500s. Their shipbuilding and their sailing had everything to do with the Nile. I mean the Niger River, excuse me. The Niger River. That was it. That was their sailing. Shipping gold up and down the river. So there goes that bullshit. Ultimately, the Olmecs are engines. And niggity jiggities need to stop claiming other people's cultures because you guys just look like jackasses. Get real Afrocentrics. Get real.